Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to this special episode of River City 93. We have a legend of the Richmond area. I'm going to do the whole career CV sheet for you. So he's played for multiple clubs in the U.S. He's played for the Reggae boyz. He's co-founder of Own Touch, Futsal, RVA. And then now there's another one that is blanking my mind. He has two amazing kids, one that has played in a World Cup recently and also is at Florida State. Another one that is off maybe in 2 weeks to go to the USL Cup Finals to hopefully bring a trophy back for the Baby Roos and is potentially going to UVA. Is there anything else I'm missing? Besides being amazing dad?
No, that's good. I mean, Nicholas played for Jamaica Youth, 17s and 20s. He has some little international experience as well.
It's Mr. Greg Simmonds. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I cannot complain. Look, it is like I was telling you before we started recording. It's Thanksgiving break for us teachers here in Richmond, starting at 3:00. I have been enjoying it ever since.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I put my work emails on Do Not Disturb. I told my principals, like, do not call me. Tell them at 8 a.m.
Yeah. But you need a break. You need to cut it off sometimes, man.
Man.
Keep that sanity.
Yes. Let me ask you this, though, before we dive into everything like that. Like, for you, having Own Touch and Futsal RVA, like, do you find yourself being more so of like a teacher or being like, you know what, I can still go out here and do it?
No, so when I first started, I was all in coaching and playing and all that good stuff. But as we grew, I took a step back and hiring a lot of quality people and coaches. I still run sessions here or there, but it's mainly the core of Own Touch was to just get out in the community and make sure that, all the directors, all the soccer minds in the community know that, a little bit more about the program and that we're just here to help the development of individuals. So, just really manage it in that sense. But yeah, I still can do my thing.
Okay. So let's start off with this distinguished career you got, man, because and thankfully you did correct me. You only played 1 year for the Kickers, but you're so much of a legend that everyone makes it seem like you've been here for years and years and years. So you played for DC United, Miami Fusion, Rochester Raging Rhinos, of course, Richmond, Charleston Battery, Virginia Beach Miners, Puerto Rico Islanders, and Richmond United, of course, indoor soccer. Outside of that, I can tell you have a thing against playing for Richmond's rivals. Do you want to explain that?
Sorry, repeat that.
I said you have a thing playing for Richmond's rivals.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's one of those things where the opportunity was, you jump on it because at that time my passion was the game to play, and so when one door closes, others open, and you just jump into it. So it wasn't really a rival; it was just me, wanting to continue playing, and they gave me opportunity. So
yeah. Let me ask you this: like, what were some of the defining moments of your career that truly defined you?
Truly defined me. I want to say, so I went to Howard University, which is not the biggest soccer school, which I had major offers to go to bigger schools, Maryland, UVA's, but Howard was a family tradition. I had 7 cousins there, aunts and uncles, professors, so is where I was going to go. So leaving there, I was all-time leading scorer at Howard University up to today. But when I left, it wasn't much opportunities to go pro. So I went up to Hershey Wildcats, which was in the A-League, and tried out. And I think I was the last player to sign. So I think I went on a 2-week trial and ended up being a month and a half. But I ended up just getting a contract. I just wanted an opportunity, and I got an opportunity. And I ended up not starting the first 5 games. I came on and score. And then the end of the year, I scored 18 goals with, I think, 10 assists or something like that, and end up becoming Rookie of the Year. So I say that was my defining moment because of what I had to go through to get that opportunity. And then at that point, I had contracts offers from MLS to go to MLS, and I decided to no, I want to stay at Hershey again because I felt the love, I felt comfortable. I didn't want to rush into the MLS at that point, so I stayed again and did it again. And at that point, I moved on. So I think those 2 years was my defining years because I was very successful at that club.
Also, I really like the fact how you just threw in there, like, I'm still the leading goal scorer at Howard University. I like how you threw that little nugget in
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. That's what I heard. That's what the coach that I had told me recently. I didn't even realize, but he told me that. So
I gotta ask you this though. As myself, I'm an HBCU grad. I went to Virginia State. Do you ever go back to homecoming at Howard? Have you been back?
yeah, for sure.
Oh,
Sure, we still have friends. We all have friends. We'll gather there. But I didn't go this year. I probably haven't been in the last 3 years. But yeah, whenever we have time, we definitely try and connect for sure. Because that's the roots. That's where we're from. So that defines who we are.
right. I tell people all the time, man, that if you have never been to an HBCU homecoming,
Yeah, you ain't never been to homecoming.
it's nothing like it.
Nothing like it.
So yeah, as you can look through your career, like you've seen U.S. soccer from all different levels. Like you said, from the A League to MLS to what USL is now, to even seeing your own kids go through the USLW League and USL Academy in League One. How have you seen U.S. soccer in America change over the years?
Oh, it's true. It's nice. It's totally night and day. I mean, the opportunities that are out there now is unbelievable. It's like 10 times more than we had. Because I said when I was playing, the MLS was a new league, so it was very a young league, and then the A League was going on, and at that time it was just the MLS and the A League. They didn't have any other leagues underneath. So opportunities was less than it is today. So yeah, I mean, just the growth and the investment that's gone into the game is priceless. So it's I look at it, and everybody in my generation look at it as we played a part in the growth of the sport in the U.S. So I take pride in that because we really struggled through our times. But it was great. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm glad to still be a part of it and continue to help the growth.
Yeah, and talking about the growth, we kind of mentioned it earlier about like own touch. How important to you is to see own touch be a beacon in the community? Because everyone that I've talked to about like Richmond soccer, like in some form or fashion, has either played on touch, had a kid go to on touch, then themselves played it on touch. Like how important is that to you?
Yes, I mean it's super important, and that was my goal when I started the whole program. Because again, that was self-made. That was just something a need that I saw after playing. Just to explain a little bit, when I stopped playing, actually while I was still playing, like when I was playing for Kickers, I was coaching Kickers U10 teams, just get involved in coaching. And then when I left and came back in the off season, I was coaching at like Chesterfield United just to get a feel for coaching and see if that's something I'll be interested in. I just remember one defined moment why Own Touch started was I was coaching a team at Chesterfield United, and I was found myself doing a lot more technical training because these kids couldn't control and pass the ball. The basic stuff was so off. But then I heard they had a game on the weekend, and we had to compete to win that game. I was like, it was baffling to me. So it was totally backwards. And then the director came to me maybe midway into the season and said that the parents were complaining that I'm not preparing the kids for the games. So I'm like, wow. I mean, this is definitely a red flag for me that tells me that this is not where I want to go. I want to help kids individually and teach them the right way of the game because, soccer is a game that I love and I'm super passionate about it. And anybody that's around me that wants to play the game has to do it the right way. And I think the right way is individually, you need to be take responsibility, and getting yourself technically sound. So at that point, I said, there's no way I can continue coaching a team because the philosophy of the club and my philosophy was a clash. So it wouldn't be fair to the club or the kids or the parents or to me. It wouldn't be fun. So I'm a believer in whatever you do, you have to enjoy it. And if you're not enjoying it, don't do it. So I said, I'm not going to do that anymore. Went out and got all my license, my A Pro, but I was like, clubs want to become directors. And I'm like, nah, that's not how I can help the game. So then I started doing small group training, privates, and I was like, well, this is not enough either, because a one-on-one with a kid, that's not really going to teach them the game, how to use the technical things that we teach, how to use that in the game, and I want to be a part of also implementing that into the game. And plus, the cost was just ridiculous. So, I don't think I was charging. I heard it was like $70 to $100 an hour. I'm like, what? And then, and so I just started doing it on free. And like Chris Durkin, Simon Fitch, and those guys were my first kids I started to train. And then it was just fun. I just saw their growth, and we just created a nice little group. Nick Tadagui was a part of that as well. And I was just talking to the parents, and I was like, this is something that needs to happen in the community because there's so much talent here, but technically they're not comfortable on the ball. So then I just start saying, what, I can't do the private small group. And then, coming from Jamaica, growing up, just playing with all different type of players, even if you're not a player, we're still playing together. And it was just more street vibe, no pressure environment. So I said, and that's how Own Touch got created, where it's just set up as a gym. You just pay a monthly fee and you can come train every single day if you want, if your time. And they would just put kids in classes and you train with all level kids. So it's more of a not so on a team and you're strict to this and you got to do that. It's a lot of flexibility. It's more like a street, can pick up and play sometimes. But as we evolved, we created proper groups. Now we have different classes. Anybody can sign up, but then we have more advanced classes for more advanced kids and we put them in a group. So there's something for every kid, but it's still a cultural environment where you come in. There's graffiti on the wall, there's music playing, and it's just a vibe. And on the wall, we have a picture of Bob Marley that says football is freedom. So that's kind of the vibe and the energy that we bring. And it's also just instilled the love and passion in the game. So yeah, and then now it's just grown to, part of the community. Now it's just part of the game, which is huge for me. And it's still a lot more like anything else to get better at and improve and take it to another level. So we're still working on all of that. You never stop learning, stop growing, and offering more for these players. So yeah, it's been great. It's been fun.
I can hear it on your voice, man, and like pretty much like I'm pretty sure you have the same feeling that I have as a teacher, where you have a kid come in and he might be a little scared, a little timid, and they might not have those developed skills. Or by like the end of the session or by the end of the school year, they have transformed, like done a complete 180 to blossom into this person who they never thought they could be.
100%. It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing, but there's just not a lot of programs in this country that provides that for kids in the game. You know what I mean? Like a school, same thing. They come in, like we have, my biggest success is not the Camerons and the Chris Durkins, is the kids that come in very low confidence and just scared, and they leave smiling and having a great time, and went from a rec player to a third player on the strikers third. You know what I mean? It's not how becoming pros, but it's just helping these kids become more confident in themselves and feel like they can grow, and just feeling proud and just knowing that they're improving and get to the best that they can be, whatever that level is they get to, and they're stand up with their chest high and said, I'm a better player and a better person. So that's success for me.
Yeah,
out of the program.
That is amazing, man. And so, like, being such a key figure in the development side in the area, like, I mean, you kind of already touched already, but like, how do you go about inspiring that generation that doesn't make it into, like, make it into being a soccer player? Like, what other tools the On Touch provides to help them? Say if they don't make it to become a soccer player and whatnot,
Yeah.
how else does it mold them to be a better person?
Yeah. So that's a great question. And I think what we do is we just have different kids from different backgrounds, different parents from different backgrounds come in and we hang out and we talk and we just enjoy each other. And realize that we use this game of soccer to help you become a better person in life, prepare them for life. So one of our mottos is own your first and your last touch on the pitch and in life, right? So everything we do is preparing you for life. It's real. That's our main goal. I mean, you have one or two that make it big, but that's not what drives us. It's the thousands that leave becoming better than they are when they came in as human beings. So that's the main thing, and that's what we're really super proud of. Is we've had, we have couples that are married today that met at Don't Touch. You know what I mean?
Oh,
That
wow.
used to hang out and train together. So those are the super success stories that I'm proud of.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. On judges bringing families together.
Yeah, that's it. And the other key is just making sure that kids that come in,
Mhm.
that we show them the beautiful game and they become huge fans. Even if they don't play, they become huge fans and they go support the Richmond Kickers and they go watch, soccer on TV, either become coaches or executives or, you know what I mean? Just stay in the game. So that's one of the biggest things is the worst nightmare for me is a kid come in loving the game and leave hating it. That's that's a dagger to the heart.
Yeah, nah, I definitely can imagine that is. We already mentioned it. I mean, like you played 1 year here for the Richmond Kickers. Um, so this question kind of gears toward that. Like, you achieved so much on and off the field, but like, what was a significant moment for you during your playing time here for the Kickers?
So I used to when I was at Hershey, we played the Kickers. The 2 years I was there, and just the culture of Richmond, because obviously another reason I also ended up playing at Richmond is my wife, Nicole. She's from Richmond. So when I was in Rochester, she was living in DC at the time and wanted to come home. So why me playing against them, and I knew the area a little bit. I know how big the soccer community was. I was like, this would be perfect to just come here and settle in and end the career here. But yeah, just the crowd, the vibe, the energy, and the love of the game here was one of those things. But signing and coming and training and playing with quality players was a good time.
Yeah. And more recently, your son, who now plays for the Richmond Kickers at various levels from the USL Academy to the first team. How was it for you to see your son out there on the field for the first time as a pre-professional, but like also like take us through that moment where he came to you or Darren or whoever came to you and said like, hey, like we want to bring your son into the first team, like as a dad. How was that moment for you?
Yeah, it was amazing, and the reason why it was even more amazing is because I know his journey from a kid coming up and his passion, and he was one of those late bloomers that I knew his potential because again I look at the game as individuals and I see the things the strengths that you have within, and then I don't touch we just hound on that, but a lot of our coaches didn't see it, so it took a while for him to really get to the level like at Richmond United. He didn't make Richmond United till U15. Um, so just to know his journey and how much he wanted to be the best in the game, um, and then just the work that he's put in, getting leading up to that, and then he had the success at the ECNL, winning the national championship, and then get opportunity to train with the pro team. And then, months in, Darren's coming to me with this offer. I'm like, whoa, like, really? What's going on? This is fast. This is too fast. But yeah, I was super proud of him because of the work that he's put in to get to this point. So yes, it was surreal to the point I was like, oh wow, what does that mean? Is he like a pro? What does that mean? And Darren explained it. It was a perfect timing for him to be able to train with these guys and be in a professional environment and playing with older players and learning so much about how to be a pro on and off the field. So it was a super proud moment. I mean, it's hard to to explain, but for me, seeing him training on the same field and wearing the same uniform that I used to wear, and he's only 16, I'm like, whoa, that made me proud, because again, that's the reason why I am who I am, is to make sure that the next generation behind is 10 times better than me, and try and get them bigger opportunities. So to see that, I gave myself and my wife a pat on the back.
So I'm gonna ask you two questions, and you should be honest. Do
Yeah.
you? Because a lot of times dads be like, I can still take him on 1-on-1. Do you still think you can take Nick on 1-on-1?
Listen, so if my knees were fine, I would destroy him. I tell him all the time. He's lucky, and I wish I could, because I think I could teach him a little bit more. But yeah, nah, for sure. He's above me right now, for sure.
And secondly, like, I think one of the more beautiful moments, and I think I captured it on camera or just, was there's a photo of you talking to Nick right after a game, and you can tell it kind of merges, where it's like it's dad and son, but it's also like, you have a little coach moment with him as well.
Yeah.
How do you, as a dad, like, but also a coach, like, how do you not merge? I mean, I guess you could say merge the two, but how do you find that balance?
Yeah, so that's another good one. I think this will help fathers, because it's not easy, especially in the early stage when you're really trying. It's your own kid, so you want the best, and you might over challenge him or over push him, to the point where they might look at it in a negative way. But as he matured and he looks back now, he'll tell me, like, I think one of the proudest moment for me is when he, I remember when it was, maybe a couple of years ago, when he looked back and said, "Dad, thanks for pushing me so hard, and thanks for not, being honest and tell me when I'm not good enough, when others were saying I was." And so it's very tricky, and it's something that you have to manage. But at this point, he's at an age now where I still, I can now coach him and help him, and he respects it in a solid way. But in the early stage, it was tricky. But now he's, at this point, he's training and playing with the pros. My only advice to him is just give 150% every single time you train and play, and soak in all the information you can get from the coaches and the senior players.
So I'm gonna ask you this as well. You also have another child that plays soccer. Some will say at a higher level, because she's actually been in a World Cup. Who responds better to you as a coach, and who responds better to you as a dad?
Cameron, for sure. She's just a pleaser in her personality. She's not just with me, but everybody. Like, she works very hard, and she just wants to make everybody around her happy. So she'll do whatever it takes. So she is, from day one, she was always that type of person. So she would really want to come to me and say, "I want to train. Let's go train. Let's go train." Nicholas would do it too, but she was just, when she trains, she goes to the point where, like, Cameron, you can slow down a little bit. Like, but yeah, she responds, but just because of personality. I mean, when Nicholas trains, we train hard as well. But Cameron is a little bit, her personality wise, she's just I think it's a female thing as well. But she really absorbs and really want to do everything to please everybody around her. And sometimes it's to a fault, because she overthinks it sometimes, where she just, to the point where she wants to impress and just make everybody proud, and she's scared to make a mistake and all that good stuff. But she is. But Nicholas too is, I am super proud of him. And he responds to everything I said. So it's just like, it's closer. But Cameron's personality, she, from a younger age, she just wants to please.
And speaking about Cameron, this in 2022, we saw her play in the Women's World Cup over in Australia and New Zealand. Speak about that moment. Like, how was it from getting the call up to the national team, or even being part of the national, to seeing your child step onto the field? Because I'm not gonna lie to you, like, I was here in America rooting for the Jamaican national team, and they were like, "Oh yeah, Cameron Simmonds is coming onto the field," and I like was ecstatic and cheering on, like, this is like my cousin or something. So, like, for you, how excited was it? And have you guys had a conversation? Like, Has she come to you for advice? Because you played in the national team as well.
Yeah. So again, it's just looking back of her journey to that point, which is I don't know if a lot of people fully understand her journey. So let me just explain that real quick because I think it's important. So Cameron started playing soccer, like soccer at U11, right? And that was rec at striker. So first time she played soccer was 11 years old rec, right? And then following, I was like, no, we can't play rec. I'd rather you just not play the game because that's not soccer. So then she went and tried out for the Richmond Strikers, and this was after she broke her hand, her hand from gym. She was like doing gymnastics, and she broke her arm, and so she just wanted to try soccer. So we signed up and did a tryout for Strikers, and she made a third team, elite, and then she made all the way down to the third team, which was perfect for her because she's raw. She never played a game, and just seeing her there, she had a great coach that just made the game fun. It wasn't about winning. He just got the girls together and they just had a good time. So she started to fall in love with the game then. And during that time, I just saw her doing some stuff. I'm like, wow, this without any training, without never playing, you're doing some things that's elite level. So finally, she went through the year and she, tried out for the team again, and she ended up making the second team. So you have the at that time you had ECNL, Strikers Elite, and Strikers United. So she made Strikers United her second year of playing. And she just kept developing. At that point, she fell in love with the game. I took her to Jamaica, played, I think it was the US in Philly. And she looked, we're like at the stadium, and it was probably 50,000 people. And she just looked at me and she's like, Dad, I want to play in front of a crowd like this one day. So I just like, whoa, because, I'm like, really? You sure?
Your ears perked up at that
Yeah,
moment.
my ears perked up, but I'm like, because I see the athleticism, I see the rawness that if we put in some time, we might can pull that off. So I'm saying, you sure? Because when I'm in, where I'm in, if you're ready to go, we're gonna go. We're gonna train. Because she was behind technically, because obviously she hasn't played. So then at that point, we just went all out. She made the second team at the time. Again, she still didn't know the game, right? She didn't know tactics. She didn't know positioning. She was just raw. So we just worked on her technique, and she was playing with the team, and she was having a good time. And then at that time, Aaron Bruno was the technical director of Richmond United, and I just called him. I'm like, listen, man, not because it's my daughter. There's something here I think you need to look at, because he's also a developer. He sees the game like me. He looks at the individual first and team tools, and he wants to help individuals in a collective group setting, which is perfect for me and her. And so that's why I reached out to him. I've never really reached out to coaches, but I reached out to him just to see his thoughts and said, sure, bring her out. So she went out, she trained one time, and after the practice, he's like, yeah, I see something. Let's bring her back. So he brought her back to play against Striker's elite team. Remember, she was on the second team, but Richmond United was playing Striker's elite team, and he had her play for Richmond United. And those Richmond United girls were all Own Touch Futsal RVA kids, so we knew them. Cameron knew them, but she never played because she wasn't playing with them. She just knew them. She used to come to Own Touch and see them, and but never played with them before. So anyway, so she played for Richmond United during that game against Strikers Elite. And the funniest thing happened after the game. Aaron Bruno came up to me and was like, the Strikers coach was asking, who is that girl? Like, he's never seen her before. Is she new to the area? Where's she from? And Aaron Bruno was like, no, isn't she on your team? Because Aaron thought she was on the elite team, the top team. So Strikers didn't even know she was within the club, but they didn't even realize, the coach at the time didn't realize. I guess so she tried out, but again, he didn't really see anything. He just, So anyways, after that, Aaron just had her become a training player that year because the roster was full. And then the following year at U15, U14 is when she started playing competitive, like at Richmond United level. And then 3 years later, full ride to Tennessee, played to Jamaica U17. And then, 4 years later, she's playing in the World Cup. So her competitive when she started playing Richmond United at elite level, she's 4-year window and she's playing in the World Cup.
Who was more emotional when she got the call up to go to the World Cup roster? When she got selected to be part of the World Cup roster, was it you or her?
So I was here in the U.S. and the camp was in Jamaica. So she did the camp in Jamaica and she ended up staying 3 days with my mom and my wife Nicole. But I was back here. So she got the email and they FaceTime me and they were all screaming. And then when she told me, I'm like, I was numb because it's like this can't be real. Like it's serious. Like, so it took me a moment. You know what I mean? I didn't just react. It took me a moment. It even took me days. I'm like, she going to work up? What is that? Is that real? Like, am I dreaming? And even when she was there, I was still tripping. Like I'm still like, what are we here? And then she's going on the field. I'm like, is she going on the field? You know, it was crazy emotion. It was all over the place. I can't even explain. It was just unbelievable, man.
If
It's
I
unbelievable.
remember correctly, I think because she made her debut in the second game, right? I think she came close to scoring, right?
Yeah, in the it was the second game. Yeah, yeah. And then she got fouled in the box, and everybody thought it was a PK.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But in that moment, when she was about to score, how crazy, how crazy you think you would
I
have been?
think you would have seen. I think you would have if she scored. I'm sure you would have seen the security running this tall black dude off the field because I'll be on the field running her down, cheering with them. You know, I wouldn't know how to act. How would you know until that moment happens? I don't know. I'll probably be on the field dunking over the, you know what I mean? Because yeah, it would have been. I mean, I'm just so proud and just I just don't understand how we got here. And she's playing at this level and playing in the World Cup, which I don't even think she fully understands that that's like the highest level in the game. But yeah, it's been an amazing journey so far, man.
But actually, this question is holistically. I mean, we've been talking about it in parts, but like both of your children are excelling in soccer in their own individual ways. What qualities or values do you believe they have inherited from you? And like what qualities of theirs do you admire the most?
I think one thing with me is as a Jamaican, and I can tell in your vibe as well. We just love everybody. It's just one love. It's vibes. It doesn't matter what you look like, where you're from, how much money you have. It's just we all together in this. So that's I think they've gotten that from me and my wife. Um, so it's just we just work hard and try to have fun with everybody. So it's and I've seen that even with their teammates. Like right now, Cameron played forward her whole life. Now she's a center back for Florida State, and she has no problem doing it because she's just a team player, and it's just whatever's good for the team. And if that's where the coach needs me, I'm ready to go. And I think that's a trait that I just know that they're humble kids. They work their butt off, and they love everybody. Doesn't matter what you look like, where you're from. We're just in this together, and don't have any grudges or any issues with anybody. You have your feelings, I have mine, but at the end of the day, we're all human, and we just we just have to respect each other. So I think that's the biggest thing I see from them, which is something that me and my wife, that's the type of kids we want to raise.
Yeah. I think that's it is very key. Is like they're such humble people and whatnot because we've seen it so many times where a kid gets to a certain level and whatnot, and they kind of lose aspect of real world
Yeah.
consequences or even like reality itself. And you see the downfall of that. So for them to even remain humble of that, man, like it's a real big credit to y'all.
Yeah, well, they have to because you can lose that overnight. In 1 second that can be gone, and then you're back to square one. Because I just remember growing up in Jamaica, and then Jamaica will have people on the street just begging you money and all that stuff. And I just remember my mom just told me like that person you one day you might need that person to help you. You just never know who's who and what's what. You never disrespect anybody. The poorest person on the street with nothing could be the president of the United States. So you always look at everybody equal, not because of their where they're from, what what their circumstances are. You just gotta respect everybody. So that's always instilled in me, and that's what I try and instill in my kids. So
And not that we didn't mention it, but Cameron also played this past summer for Richmond Ivy. We know she missed some time here and there with international duty injuries and whatnot. But like, what went into that decision of having her play for Richmond Ivy, and how unique was kind of like that 2 month span of where both of your kids are representing Richmond and kind of like are the faces for both
Yeah.
programs?
I mean, when we first heard about Richmond Ivy, and Mika was the first one to call me to, you know, ask if Cameron would be available. I'm like, what should be available? Are you kidding me? In a heartbeat. There's no way. She has to be a part of this. But no, it was a no brainer, and she was super excited to the point where she was nervous. It's unbelievable to me, and that's another topic. But to express, I think that's something that she can talk about with aspired, soccer players to understand. Even that how you play at the highest level, you still have nerves, like have expectations, and it can affect you on your play. But anyway, she was super excited, and for me, again, it was just surreal to have Nicola again played in a stadium that I played in. And that's the thing I told him, to the point where, like, well, I scored in that stadium. Can you let me see if Cameron or Nicholas, who's going to score in a real game on that in City Stadium first? So we had little competitions like that, and fun games, but it was amazing just to know that I played in that stadium, I scored in that stadium, and for my two, oldest to be doing the same in the same summer was great.
Yeah. I, let me, and this is another great way to ask it, kind of looking at soccer philosophy, which, by the way, I admire so much. Like, you've experienced soccer as a player, as a coach, even as a parent. How has your perspective on the game changed over the years from all those aspects?
Yeah, it's changed. I mean, again, for me, when I was playing, when I grew up in Jamaica, we just had teams and we just play. I never had like coaching, like anybody teaching me technical stuff or even just the tactical side of the game. It was just raw for me. My parents wasn't involved in a game like I was. My dad played for Jamaica, but he wasn't. He was working. He wasn't there taking me to practice. It was just a different lifestyle. So I just know how the culture is today, and the game has changed so much and the world has changed. So I had to be involved in my kids' lives all the time, to the point where decisions that I made, and even in the business, in my own day job, and my wife, is I put a lot of big opportunities aside to make sure I'm there for them, because they told me they want to play this game at the highest level. So I put a lot of my effort and time and resources into them, because of how competitive it is now, and how detailed it is, how tactically aware they need to be, and technically you have to be very, very comfortable on the ball to achieve what they want to achieve, and you have to put in a ton of work. When other players are hanging out or sleeping, you need to be on a ball, and that's what we did for many years. So um, I had to just be. We watch the game together. We talk about different players and how, in their positions. So we eat, sleep, and breathe the game at our house. So it's just one of those things where I'm fortunate enough to own my own business, where I can decide my own time, so I can spend it with them. So I mean, that was one of my main goals when they told me that they're 100% into the game. So I just, plan my life around them, to be honest.
I mean, your kids are lucky, man, to have such a supportive dad like you in their lives, man. It means a lot. You can see it through them that you are definitely there to be so supportive in their lives, and it means a lot to know. I can show you that.
Yeah, I mean, they show that in their daily walk,
Mhm.
and they tell me all the time. But I told them it's not an option for me. It's my duty, it's my job. So you don't have to thank me. I have to do it. I mean, I have no other choice. So
Yeah. Um, this is the last question I got for you, and I think this is probably a good note to probably wrap the show up on. But as you go back and you look through your career and whatnot, and all the experiences you have had, and accumulated everything, what advice do you have for young people who are looking to get into soccer as a career, or to become a coach or a technical director, or own their own private soccer program or anything like that? Like, what advice would you give them?
I would say the first thing that you need to figure out within yourself is basically ask yourself, what's your passion? Is soccer your passion? Is it your true passion? If it's not, just like anything else, anything you want to be successful in life, you need to ask yourself if you're passionate about it. That's the first thing. And once you're super passionate about it, you got to eat, sleep, and breathe it like on a daily basis, and be willing to take criticisms and learn from everybody. Even the people that you think are so-called more than, you still can learn from them. You just got to be a humble person
Mm-hmm.
and work your butt off like anything else. But the sport is such a beautiful thing and a beautiful game that I would highly encourage everybody to be a part of it somehow. Just like yourself, you're on a podcast. That's being a part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're involved. You're part of the growth. You're part of the community. And so we just need a lot more. We just want everybody. I don't want I want soccer to be the sport in the U.S. And I think my biggest dream and passion is to make Richmond the biggest soccer community in the country. And I know and people think I'm crazy, but I 100% sure we can do it. There's no reason there shouldn't be an MLS team from Virginia that's in Richmond. There's no reason why we can't have the biggest stadiums and can't have sellout crowds. There's no reason. I mean, the culture of soccer in this community is massive. I just think we just need we need some big dreamers to just go get it. And it's there for us to take, because so many kids and parents love the game that, we just need to put our differences aside and come together and just make it work and make it happen, because the city is amazing.
Yeah, it is, man. It is. And the city's more amazing to have people like you in it, man. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your day. Any last things before we wrap up?
No, I just want to thank you, man, and I encourage you to continue to do what you do, because again, you're a big part of the community. I don't know if you hear that enough, but you are, and you and your team is show the passion and love for the Richmond Kickers and the community. So we need more people like yourself. So please don't get discouraged or don't stop. Just keep going.
Thank you so much, man. And listeners, as always, we just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your day for listening to our podcast, because without you, we couldn't do this and wouldn't want to do this. So for Mr. Simmonds and myself, we will holler at you guys next time. Be easy and be safe.